So is your wife an atheist now?
Yes.
And are you still an atheist?
Yes.
You're not a Satanist?
I am a Satanist in the sense that I paid $25 for a membership to the Satanic Temple. Technically, that makes me a Satanist.
So why would you become a Satanist if you don't believe that Satan exists? Do you believe there is a God?
No.
Do you believe there is a devil?
No.
No. And have you always had this belief?
This isn't a belief. This is a lack of belief. And I didn't realize what belief really meant in religious terms until I became an activist myself, when I discovered that belief is an act of will. See, if I say that I believe something, it means that this is what I think is most likely true or closest to the truth, but that I don't know it because I can't show it. Whereas a believer tends to put a different spin on that. I mean, they believe as a conscious act of will to convince themselves of something that is not evidently true. It seems to me that believers involve more make-believe than what I would call a sincere belief. So I don't use the word believe anymore.
And so you have no proof that there is no God or no Satan.
Do you have proof that there are no leprechauns?
No.
Do you believe in leprechauns?
No.
Okay.
Were you a Christian at one time?
I was, because I was lied to. I was told that God was a conclusively proven scientific fact. To question whether there was a God was just as crazy as to question whether we really have a president. And then, of course, all of the claims that not just my family's religion, but in fact any religion ever made with regard to God were always empty assertions.
So you don't know that there is no God?
No, I know that there's no God because God is not even a possibility. It's a logical contradiction. I wasn't convinced that there was a God, but it seemed less and less likely as time went on. And in fact, every religion posits baseless assertions as if it was a matter of fact. And I know a philosophy professor who says that faith is pretending to know things you don't know. And that seems an apt description. Every religion makes claims as fact that they cannot show to be true.
When you first became a Christian, who told you at that time that there was a God?
My family, of course, raised me to believe that there was a God, and then I got to see inter-Christian prejudice, because my family are one denomination, and then some other denomination would inquire as to what religion I am. And every time I knew that if somebody asked me what my religion is, there's going to be a problem. Because if my religion matters to you, then we're not going to agree on much.
So when you say your family, are you referring to your father and mother who were the first to tell you that?
My mother was the first to tell me that.
It's always the mother. Why do you think it's the mother that's always telling the kids that and not the father, for the most part?
It's good that you say for the most part, because here in Texas we have a lot of preachers that tend to take the helm on that.
But in the home, why do you think it's the mother or the grandmother that's always telling the kids, taking them to church and telling them that there is a God? Most of the time, it's not the father, but it's the mother.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've seen a statistic that women, particularly women over 50, tend to be more susceptible to all kinds of scams, and they're more readily believe con men and that sort of thing. I've seen that to be anecdotally confirmed. My mother was always religious, and fortunately, my family had a tradition that you don't indoctrinate the children until they reach the age of reason.
What age is that?
That's usually determined to be 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, okay.
Because if you indoctrinate children into religion in those formative years, you can utterly stunt their development of critical thinking, such that many people never recover from it and can never tell truth, fact from fiction. But when women show up, now they're going to church on Sundays, and everybody has to behave themselves. So we have to give credit to women to some degree for their establishment of civilization. But of course, as I said, the Middle Eastern cultures that wrote the story wouldn't give credit to women.
Have you noticed that every time you listen to the woman, you suffer?
I'm a married man, and I'm not going to go there.
And so when your mother brought the Bible into the room for you and told you, hey, read this, this is what it's all about, and you refused to do it.
I did read it.
Oh, why did she take you to your grandparents?
Because I came up with a different interpretation than she did.
Oh,
I saw
see.
it as a metaphor. I didn't read it literally. How could I read it literally? Snakes can't talk.
And who are you closest to, your father or your mother?
Oh, I'd have to say definitely my mother, because my father was intolerant of anyone who was different than him. And it wouldn't matter how many similarities you had with him. He would focus on the thing that's different.
And what did he think of you being an atheist?
We didn't have a lot of time to discuss that. It was right toward the end of his life when he realized that I was atheist. And so we had one discussion about it. He had seen one of the videos that I'd done early on in my career, and he says, well, that don't prove there's no God. And I said, we don't need to prove that there's no God. If there's no support for the assertion in the first place, if somebody thinks that they see pink elephants, we don't have to prove that pink elephants don't exist. He's making the assertion. It is incumbent upon him to show that there are elephants. And if he fails that, if nobody can show that there's evidence of pink elephants and they're not even possible in the first place, then we don't believe that. That is dismissed.
When you say your father thought that you were stronger than your father didn't think you were stronger than you were, what do you mean by that?
My dad always had a rule that we the boys, his sons, were all supposed to be. We were supposed to grow up to be dangerous, scary men among men. That other people had to fear us and all of that. And that was the attitude that he had. And once upon a time, I was asking to reschedule a flight while he met per his request. And I remember asking somebody, I'd like to reschedule this flight, please. And because I said the word please, he reached out and hit me, because you don't say please. You grab the world by the throat and make it give you what you want. That was his attitude.
And so did you love your father?
I did. Despite all of the long list of terrible things that I heard about him, there were also, as with everybody, there were also positives.
And did you forgive him before he expired?
To a large degree, yes.
Did you tell him that?
I don't think I had to.
And why not?
I think he understood. I think we seemed to understand each other pretty well at the end.
And when you say to a large degree, but why not the whole degree?
Well, I don't want to say that I've forgotten everything that he's done. I mean, we still have to keep our judgment sane. I went up to 5 years at a time, multiple times, without speaking to my dad at all, because it wouldn't matter how I tried to connect with him. He would find that difference.
When you say your father got upset because you said please to the worker, who taught you to say hello and thank you, please?
That's just common society. That's how people talk.
Did your mother teach you that, to say please and thanks?
I'm pretty sure everybody taught kids to. Mr. Rogers taught kids to say please and thanks.
So was it right for your mother to teach you to say hello and thank you, please?
Well, that is the right kind of behavior. Had she not taught me, I would have learned it elsewhere. Had nobody actually said, you should say please and thank you, I would still have known it. So
what made you accept your mother telling you to say please and your father telling you, no, don't say that?
Well, I guess
why would you reject one and accept the other? What's the difference between your mother and your father?
My mother is active in her church. She has a position in her church. She's always had it. She's always known what denomination she is, even if she doesn't know much of anything else. Whereas my father's side of the family never cracked open a Bible. They don't know what a creed is. They don't care what the Bible says, but they're better than me because they're Christian. And they don't even use the word Christian. As my dad put it, he says, I just believe in the man upstairs. That was the extent of their theology.
So you're saying that your father was a better person than your mother because your mother was hiding behind the church and your father revealed himself. So you noted that the church women are the worst ones. They hide behind the Bible.